Welcome once more to Dhare's Dosage. I'm Dháre, and today we are on day 11. Day 11. Now, 11 is a special number for me, but that's why I'm feeling a little jolly and feel a little extra pep in that introduction. Because for me, I am a life path 11. Now, some of you may be familiar with that term, may have heard it, life path number, and others of you may be like, what the hell is she talking about? So just in light of that, thinking about how I'm a life path 11, I thought what better way than to use today as just kind of a basic introductory to a couple of divination tools, or as I like to call them, tools to extend knowledge of the self. Because as you very well may know by this point, and if not, you're just tuning in, now you gonna know, Dhare's Dosage is all about building of the self. Because my number one philosophy is it is our ultimate responsibility to propel ourselves on this path to become better and better versions of ourselves throughout our lifetime. Simple as that. And whatever means you got to take, want to take, or gifted to take on that journey, utilize them. Find the ones that work for you, that resonate with you, and go from there. So as I said, today I'm just going to touch on a couple tools that you could utilize just to deepen knowledge of self. So those two things are going to be the divination art of numerology, and the other one will be astrology. I'm familiar with both, but I'm obsessed. I absolutely love astrology. But like I said, I have familiarity and have studied both, for some years since my early 20s, and now I'm a 30-year-old woman. All right. So I'll start off with numerology. The segment will probably be quicker. As I mentioned at the opening of the video, I myself am a life path, a number. So the way that numerology works is, on a basic level, all numbers carry a certain vibration to it, or a certain energy to it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 as your single digits, and then up, 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 up. But for the sake of numerology, what is done is whatever you're calculating, what you tend to do is break things down to a single digit. Now, there's a very simple way to do it, and that can be, further explained later. But like I said, this is just introductory, so I won't go too in depth with the way that you get to certain things. But know that it's not very hard to figure out at all. But within numerology, you have certain... I mentioned life path. There's other things like there's a life path number. There's something called the destiny number. You have something called a personal year number that changes every year, that can kind of give you clues on the trajectory that your life may be taking that particular year, having certain years that are rising and going to reach a peak, and then some that may be more stable than others where you may anticipate some kind of decline in some way. So it's really, like I said, just ways to expand your insight specifically to yourself to help you in your growth journey. But anyhow, so each and every one of us, I'm just going to talk about the life path number today, because that's a very critical one, and it could very much be a guiding factor in your growth journey. So your life path number basically tells you, with the energy of that number, it tells you basically where your potential is, and then also where some of your weaknesses may lie, because the energy that you carry is very much dominant of that number in particular. So for the most part, people are either a life path 1 through 9, because in numerology, you're looking at single digits for the most part, aside from a few what are called master numbers, like your 11, 22, 33, those ones that have the same digit repeated twice. Okay, so again, this is specifically to life path. So as an example, like I said, now this is the third time I'm an 11. And what the life path 11 pertains to is someone who is, for one, a very creative person, but that's also a person who is very much an inspirational teacher and a leader and a healer. Okay, which are all very much qualities of me and things that I am and things that I'm evolving deeper into. All right, so that's just a quick concrete example of someone, in their life path and how that aligns and work. And so using that as a tool, knowing that those are my strengths and where I have the capability to maximize who I am, then that's helpful to know, because it basically can help show me that, yeah, you're on the right path, you're on the right track, and you're working within the energy that you've been granted within this body, within this vessel. All right. So hopefully that's kind of helpful, just a little general sense about numerology. Oh, I will recommend a book. So the very first book that I picked up to dive into numerology, and to be honest, to me, it's superior to some of the other ones that I've even read since then. So I'm going to just leave this one title as a recommendation. It's called The Complete Book of Numerology by David A. Phillips. I really like this one because he goes into, some of the history of numerology, where it's derived, well, history, because that's another conversation, but y'all know the real about history. I'll just say some of the background, okay? He gives some of the background about numerology, where it comes from and how it can be used, and then he gets into the different numbers that you can calculate to help determine different aspects about yourself, such as the life path. So that's one book that I recommend anyone who's either you're new to numerology, or even if not, and you just want to dive back in or get a little bit more in depth. The Complete Book of Numerology by David Phillips is a recommendation that I'm dropping right here. All right, so let's shift on over to good old astrology. All right, and when I say astrology, I'm not just talking about, pick up the newspaper, horoscope, sun sign, what am I, what are you, what's your zodiac sign, because it's so much deeper than that. All right, and I also want to premise this with saying that for anyone who, is kind of iffy about the validity of astrology as a science, because it is very much so that, one as well as numerology, but one that was passed down from ancestors years ago, that pure power, that source of pure power, transmitted through certain people and enabled them to grasp concept of it and share it and allow it to be passed down for all these generations to reach us and allow us to continue utilizing them for the tools that they are. All right. So that being said, I make this comparison. All right. So whether or not, and this is for people that are like kind of, is there validity in astrology? Think about it this way. All right. We all know that it rains, right? And yeah, maybe you may have learned about a little bit back in elementary science, condensation and evaporation and how all that stuff works. But for the most part, if you were to ask the normal, just person on the street, how does rain work? Nobody would really be able to just up and tell you and break down the process. Well, this happens and this, and this, and then it drops down. But that rain comes down. Just because you don't know the inner workings and mechanisms of how rain works doesn't mean that it's not real, right? So think of astrology the same way, and whether or not you know the inner workings of it does not discredit its validity. So that's just something, I ask you to keep an open mind, or consider if you've ever had doubts about it as an art form, as a science, and valid thing to use as guidance. All right, so that's just a quick premise. All right, what else do I want to say about astrology? Because I did say I was going to keep it basic. Oh, and another thing. All right, because I know this is something else that I hear about astrology. Some people say, oh, well, I'm this, but I don't really feel like that. Like, my sign is this, but I don't really feel like that sign. Or they know someone else in their lives who's a certain sign. They're like, yeah, but that person doesn't really, fit the mold of what astrology says that sign is. Now, here's the thing that we have to realize. For the most part, what you've heard about astrology has been what is called the sun sign. So when someone says, for example, I've said before, I'm a Leo, or when someone says, I'm an Aquarius, or I'm a Capricorn, I'm a Gemini, they're referring to what's called their sun sign. And so what that means is that has to do with where our sun was positioned in the sky at the time of birth. All right. But get this, that's just one aspect of what we call your birth chart or your natal chart. So what your natal chart is I've heard it put this way once and I love it. It just really stuck, and I'm sure this will hit home for you too. So if someone were to zoom out up above the earth and take a picture of the planet, snap at the exact moment that you were born, where were all those planets lined up? Snap where all those planets were lined up. That is what your birth chart would be. All right. So it pertains and shows you exactly where all the planets and some different other points in the skies were aligned at the time that you entered this planet in this body. So that's all your birth chart is. But with that being said, you are more than just where your sun was positioned at the time of birth. There's 12 houses. They are 12 houses of astrology, 12 zodiac signs. And just a quick side note, I utilize Western astrology. There are other cultures that use other forms of astrology, but really they have the same effect of using the stars. Some even use animals and other things, but they serve the same function and purpose as far as revealing certain patterns and characteristics and traits, utilizing certain timing and planetary alignments, we'll say. I'll just keep it there. But anyway, so you are more than your sun sign. So if you've ever felt like you didn't quite resonate with what your zodiac sign is, or witness others who don't seem to, this is why. Because there are all the other planets also dictate and affect how it is that you are manifested in this form. All right, so I alluded to there's 12 houses. This video is not at all about to get into all that. I don't know, maybe I'll do some astrology series at some point. Don't be surprised. But I will touch on at least 3 major key points on the birth chart that I think everyone should know about, and it'll give you some deeper insight into yourself, okay? Just at least, no, I'm gonna go into 4, okay? All right, work with me here, All right, so your sun sign. So the sun sign, like I said, pertains to where the sun was positioned at the time of your birth, right? So what that sun sign is basically who you are at the core. That's kind of what you came here to focus on. That's how I put it. What your soul, what your body in this lifetime came to focus on. It's kind of like that gifted part of you. That's your sun sign, the focus. Think about the sun being the center stage, okay? That's the sun sign. But you also have something called the ascending sign or the rising sign, and that pertains to what planet was on the horizon before the sun, what planet was coming up, what placement was there at the time of your birth. And then you also have something called your moon sign or your descendant sign, which has to do with where the position of the moon was at the time of your birth. So I told you what the sun sign signifies. What the rising sign signifies is, you can kind of think of it as that outer shell, okay? Or how I said it comes before the sun. So think of it as kind of the front, your front. So when you're just generally operating in the world, whatever zodiac sign is your rising sign is kind of, that front that you put on, or how you naturally operate, what others might see you as or think you were, carry the energy of that particular sign. So that's what's on the forefront, just your everyday. So for example, me, I have both a sun and an ascendant sign in Leo. All right. Now the moon sign, you think about, when does the moon come out? After dark in the nighttime, right? So the moon sign or your descendant sign, that pertains to you on a subconscious level. So you can kind of think of that as kind of your default, your undercover a way of operating, or how you behave emotionally, okay? Because emotions have to do with the subconscious. So the moon sign very much has to do with how you behave and how you operate emotionally, kind of like that default program that you fall into. All right. So that's just a quick breakdown. I hope that was something new for you in terms of, I know you know the sun sign, but as far as the descendant and moon sign, and even a little deeper explanation of the sun sign. But one more little tidbit on the birth chart or the natal chart that I will go ahead and throw out there, because this could very much, again, like I said, dosage is all about elevation and self-growth. And so if you are to find this out, this could give you some more insight to maybe dive into and just give you a little more clarity into the person that you were created to be here. So we also have something that's called the North Node, something that is called the North Node on our birth chart. So where the North Node is positioned, whatever zodiac sign that's in, that is indicating basically where you have great potential to evolve into and evolve toward. So you hear north node, think about a North Star. Everyone's heard of the guiding North Star. Think of it as a guiding factor, something that you're looking toward, that you're moving toward. That North Node gives you insight into where you could potentially have a lot of success in life, So a lot of growth, a lot of success and forward movement. If you're conscious of it and working with that energy, it can very much fuel you and charge you and put you in alignment with your purpose and why you're here on this beautiful planet. All right. So those were just the 4 aspects within astrology that I wanted to touch on today. So hopefully if any of this is new to you, it brought you some useful insight. Anyone, maybe it's just a review for others. But like I said, this journey is about elevating ourselves, being our best and better selves. That's the reason we're here. That's the reason we're here. So why wouldn't we utilize tools that we've been gifted with to help move us along that journey? Makes sense to me? Makes sense to you? All right, we're good. All right, well, I will go ahead and wrap it up there. I hope you're having a wonderful day, or that this brightens your day a little bit. Again, this was day 11 of our Absolutely Authentic series here at Dháre's Dosage. If you haven't gotten a chance to yet, the link is down below to check out the blog site, which, remember, is how Dháre's Dosage got started 3 years ago. I've also included my Instagram and email if you just want to contact me for any other reasons. That's kind of a big open window there. I don't know if I should have said that, but I'm just being genuine and being sincere. All right. Well, I send you so much peace and power and love, and I bid you supreme wellness. Take care.